And good evening, everyone. ESS proudly presents the Wise Guys Sports Talk Show with your hosts, Pete Goslaw, Joey Riom, and Dave Bartlett. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Pete. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Joe.
Well, we're not in a bar setting like we used to be, folks, but hey, we're going to have a good time none the same, nonetheless. But anyway, we're getting bored. And I figure everybody else at home is getting bored during this virus. So I hope everybody that gets this on Facebook, on our ESS page, is well and healthy. Tonight we're going to talk about what's going on in Section 10, and we're going to hear it right from the horse's mouth himself, Joey Riom, who is athletic director of St. Lawrence Central School. Take it away, Joel.
Well, I don't know how much I've been doing lately. I have been trying to go into the office every day, try to keep a sense of normalcy. And it's a tough time right now. Never gone through anything like this before. And as far as sports is concerned in Section 10 in the state, I mean, obviously we're on hold right now. And based on what the state is saying, they're going to try to make a determination on spring sports championships by April 27th. And the reason being there is that just like with the canceling of bowling, hockey, and basketball championships just a few weeks ago for the winter, there's venues. Some of those venues are college venues, and right now the colleges aren't going to allow anybody on. And there's just, the media and everybody that's got to get involved for sports championships, they want to give them time to not have it if they're not going to have it. They don't want to go ahead and purchase all the things that they would need to purchase and do all that if they don't think it's going to be feasible. So they're going to make that determination from what I'm hearing by April 27th. Now, if they say no, and I don't have a gut feeling on it right now because the governor right now is going in 2-week increments. My opinion, I think it's a long shot, but let's hope.
So they picked that deadline based on they think they can get the most games in between that and playoffs, or
right? Yeah, because that's another huge issue is if we're going to have a state championships, then you're going to have sectional playoffs and the state playoffs that lead into the state tournament. So usually to get that done, that's a 2-week period all on its own.
I know. I could speak for pretty much all three of us here that we're all very excited for the state finals in basketball to come back to Glens Falls this year, being it's close to home.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they pulled the rug from underneath us, and boom, here we are talking about spring sports and whether or not they're even going to have them or not. I guess my question to you, Joey, moving forward, if spring sports doesn't happen, what do? We just look forward to trying to schedule fall now?
Yeah, and actually, I normally would be working on fall stuff and my basketball stuff for next winter right about now. But in bits and pieces, I'm kind of diving into it now because I literally have nothing to do. There's just not much we can do. So I'm trying to get a head start on the fall. But like I said, as far as it goes with the spring, who knows? The state could cancel everything when it comes to state championships on the 27th. But if there's still an opportunity for school to happen, the sections might be able to at least have something. A shortened season and maybe their own sectional championship or something to that nature. And again, that is just a spot. And we had an AD meeting this week, and that was something that we talked about. Hey, the state might cancel Springs championships, but what if we come back to school on May 1st or April 30th? Maybe what happens? Could we play a month And now with no Regencies, who knows? Maybe we could play a month and a half. But again,
Yeah,
that's
because usually you had
that
that down.
is
Usually you had the downtime for Regents Week where there's nothing scheduled.
right. And now there's no Regencies. I mean, that's literally what, 10 days. Usually the spring sports championships are done by the second weekend in June for everything. We don't graduate until the last Friday in June. That's 2 more weeks. And if there's no Regents, and maybe there could be school, and maybe we could play some sports, or at least play within our own section and try to maybe have some sectional championships. But again, that's just me and 23 other ADs thinking off the top of our head in what if scenarios. We really don't know.
Now, there's no talk or consideration of extending the school year past the end of June, is there? I mean, I haven't heard anything.
I have not heard that at all. But I don't even want to speculate on that, Dave. I'm not in the education side of things. I can't imagine it, but who knows? There's a lot of things I couldn't have imagined a month ago that have happened. So
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell. But as far as sports is concerned, I don't know. And the sad thing is that we don't have a ton of time to, we probably got to have a plan, but it's hard to base a plan on nothing. You don't know we don't know what to do. So we're talking, but it's really tough right now.
Yeah, it would be I mean, I can't even imagine if they said, okay, in 2 weeks, we're going to be going back full bore and you can go to school and you can start up your sports programs. You can't get that done ready in 2 weeks.
No. And the kids, varsity and JV, literally had 1 week of practice when the end came. They had 5 days of practice. That's it. So it's impossible. I mean, they're going to need some time together before you can't just toss them into games. And, it's easy to sit here and say, yeah, hey, they probably can get outside and work on things. Well, my 19-year-old son's been just sitting in a room playing Xbox for a month. He's happy as a pig, and he hasn't done a damn thing. So I don't know how many high school athletes are outside trying to work out on their own. A lot of kids, I'm going to say 75% of kids are just team players. Their practice is when the team is together. They don't work on staying in shape. So it'll be, to think that they could just throw into it on day one and play, they're going to at least need a week of practice, I would think.
Right. But then as far as, the individual athlete aspect, but then you've got the whole, getting schedules together and opponents and referees and, there's
schedule
so many.
usually months ahead,
Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe we try to keep the same schedule that we already have and just start playing the games that are already scheduled, and then try to make up the ones that were missed in the time that if there is no spring sports championships, we can fill it in that time frame and go past Memorial Day. But again, this is just my thought. It doesn't mean I'm right, and it doesn't mean it's going to even come close to happening. So
I'm sure there's a lot of talk out there exactly how they're going to do this, and I'm sure there's so many narratives out there that you don't know which way to go, time frames.
Yeah,
if this even happens. So I don't know. All I know, fellas, is that I never thought I'd miss sports as much as I do, and I'm getting to the point I'm watching all the Yankee classics. Last night I was wide awake. Last night I was wide awake at 2 a.m. and I turned it on Nesson. I watched an old Red Sox game. So I mean, it's getting. I don't know. I was looking forward to that March Madness thing, and I think we all do. We all get hyped up at that time of year, and then the Masters. Joey, as well as I do, and Dave, you work at we all play golf, and you work at a place, Dave. Once that Masters hits, everybody catches the fever, and now we're being told we can't even go out. So it's this is a strange time in life, and we're going to look back with these years. And we're going to say, hey, we made it through, but how we did, I don't know. So I don't know.
Yeah, you're talking about that.
Yankee Classics, I know that.
Yeah, Yankee Classics and all the Masters replays, the replays of all the final rounds of the Masters. You know, anytime they show the '86 final round of the Masters, you know, you got to watch that.
Oh
But
yeah, Golden Bear.
no, it's not.
Oh,
Yeah, no, you know, talking about I worked last week or this week, Monday through Thursday, working on the golf course, getting it ready, and then you know, last night we hear that golf courses are non-essential, and so we're actually kind of stuck right now. We don't know how much work we're actually going to be able to do because the course can't just, you know, you can't just let the course sit there.
no, it looked like a hayfield.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we worked really hard last year on getting that course in good shape. And, you know, we're walking around the course this past week. I mean, the greens need to be mowed already. And now we don't even know, like they told us we couldn't work today. And we're waiting to find out Monday if we're going to be able to go back to work. So.
Joey, you
Yeah,
played, did you play Meadowbrook last week or something?
I played at Meadowbrook this week. Now I haven't talked to Mickey since this ruling, Mickey Locke, since this ruling came down. But of course, Mickey's pretty much a one-man show. So I'm assuming him as the owner, I'm thinking that he could probably still go up there, at least keep his greens mowed and keep the essential stuff to a golf course up and running. But a big place like where Dave's working at Inlet, that's, you know, I don't know how many workers are there, Dave, but I'm sure a lot more than just a one-man show. So
not much more.
No. but I mean, if you're not allowed to be there, that's a big deal. I mean, especially the greens. The greens have to be. I mean, Dave can speak to this better than I. Just as a player, we all know if the greens aren't kept up, that's the lifeblood of a golf course. Hey, they don't go, hey, how are the fairways? They go, hey, how are the greens?
Right,
That's what
exactly.
they're asking.
Are they soft?
How are your greens and how's your
Are they
19th
slow?
hole?
Yeah.
And it's funny, Joe, that those are my two specialties. I mow the greens, and then I also bartend at the restaurant. So,
and those are the only two things I care about. Give me good greens and a good 19th hole.
Well, come on down when we open up. I'll take care of you.
All right.
Now, I was okay when they first came out with it, saying they're going to close the clubhouse. You know, you can either walk or one person to a cart. You know, people were out getting fresh air. I was okay with that. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, where they had this loony idea that they didn't want anybody going out and get fresh air. But all I know, boys, is that all three of us have been in sports since we were out of the womb. And this time in life is really, I don't say it's irritating. It's just I never realized how much we were indulging in sports in our life until this all shut down. And you know, thank God for reruns. I can't imagine what everybody else is feeling out there. I'm sure they're feeling the same way we are. I'm sure we're going to get some feedback on that once I post this on our ESS Facebook page. But I don't know. It's just all new to us. You know how that goes. So, Joey, you don't even know if you're even sponsoring a tournament this year either, are you?
Yeah, my golf tournament. You mean my golf tournament for the basketball program?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was set for June 20th. I'd like to think it's going to happen. And you know, I'm going to play it in my mind like it will. But I'll tell you, one of the problems is going to be everything that's getting missed right now and pushed back is people are going to try to make that stuff up. It's going to be, if and when we ever get to that point, it's going to be it's going to be a zoo. We're going to go from 0 to 100, 0 to 140.
Right. And not to mention they're going to try to stick in double headers on Saturdays or something too. You never know.
Yeah. And right. I kind of already made up my mind that if we're able to have a golf tournament this year, because of the situation, this golf tournament, if we can pull it off, and I don't care if only 4 foursomes show up, it's going to be, let's just get together and have a freaking good time, and I'm not looking to raise money. I'm not looking to go out and find sponsors, and I'm not looking for prizes. I mean, in fact, remember last year I had to cancel my tournament because our girls softball team made it to the Final Four.
Mhm.
And I had all the stuff ready to go for the tournament, but I didn't think it would look too good if I wasn't down supporting our girls in the Final Four. So we canceled the golf tournament, and I still have all the stuff from last year. So my plan anyway was just to play golf this year. I already have prizes, and Jim Kring, bless his heart, he had given me all the stuff for last year and said, hey, just keep it for next year. So I've got prizes, and I've got my donations that I got last year. My plan this year, if we're lucky to have the golf tournament and we're lucky to be able to get enough people to sign up, because who knows what's going to be going on. Hey, let's just go have fun and be glad that we're out here together. So try to make it a Section 10 in my program event, like we do like we always have in the past, but really just try to have a good time.
April 10th, boys. You guys got snow. I did. It came down today, but it never hit the ground. So
we didn't get much here. You, Dave?
About an inch.
Yeah.
They were calling for 3 to 6 here, so.
You guys didn't get anything up there, Dave or Joey?
There was a little bit on the ground this morning, but it's gone already. We didn't nothing worth mentioning. Spring snow.
Yeah, I was able to get outside and do some things today, so I was very happy with that. And sports wasn't involved, but but it might be tonight. I don't know what's playing tonight on TV, so some sort of rerun somewhere.
Yeah, there's a Masters rerun, I'm sure.
The 2005 right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Dave's got it on.
Tiger and DeMarco heading for the playoff.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if you watched Wednesday, they had Jack's 86 on.
Yep.
And look at the three of us be able to look at each other, and Pete's gonna be able to ship this out, and the whole world can look at this. And I look at the footage that we had to watch Jack Nicklaus on in 1986 is just brutal. How did we grow up then watching sports? That's what I'm like. And if I think right, I might have had a black and white TV set when I was watching that in 1986. So I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Toby came out and was watching it with me a little bit. He goes, this is how you grew up watching sports? I said, yeah, this is pretty bad, isn't it? Well, and apparently that got digital a lot. They redid it, and I'm like, it still stinks.
Yeah, they still couldn't cover up the plaid pants though.
No, they could. Hey, so some other things that I noticed: a lot of golfers back then, no glasses, no sunglasses, no caps. They let the sun just beat right down on them and fry them. They didn't care back then. Those are a couple of things that I noticed.
I'm sure they had
a lot of white shoes.
Yeah, a lot of white shoes.
A lot of white shoes is true.
White shoes.
A lot of things have changed. I don't know. Weird times we're in, folks. So we got a couple more minutes left to go here. Dave Bartlett, Joey Rio, and Pete Goselaw here in the Wise Guy Sports Talk Show. A little reunion. It's not in the bar, but I'm sure each one of us has a drink and all that. There we go.
Yep. It's Friday night.
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers, boys.
Absolutely. Cheers.
I know one thing, Joey. I have to say something that I've saved some money and some brain cells, not going to Glens Falls this year.
Yeah, I did too. I did too. But you know what? I'd give the money and brain cells away right now to have those 2 days, those 3 days that we spend together down there. And we up here at SLC, we missed out. Our girls were still alive. Now they were in, so I would have been going down to the Lake George, Saratoga, Albany area 2 weeks in a row because they were heading down to Hudson Valley.
Yep,
Troy. To play Cambridge. They were the number one team in the state, but I would have loved to seen this Cambridge team play. They played in front of me a couple of years ago when I was in the Elite Eight up in Canton against Lake George, they played Madrid Waddington, and that game was over as soon as it tipped. And this would have been 2018. So I'm like, they can't be that good. I mean, they must have lost some girls from last year's team, because if that team that I saw in 2018, they would have had to been freshmen. Well, it turns out they were. So that's how good this team was.
Wow.
When I looked at their roster, they only had one senior on their team. And I said, well, they can't, I know they're 21-0, but they're young. And Brian Harmer from Madrid Waddington said, no, when they beat me in 2018, they beat the crap out of me with freshmen. That's
really?
And apparently one of these girls, they had a set of twins, and one of these girls was going D1 or is going D1. So it would have been great for great opportunity for our girls. They had never played in an Elite Eight game before. So Chad did a good job of getting them rolling near the end of the year. And it's too bad that they missed out on that opportunity. We were going to go down, spend the night, let them have a night together. But just didn't work out. And It's not just us, Madrid Waddington boys, Chattagay boys.
Yeah, we made the trip years ago when we first started out as the Shamrock Sports Network. And Dave and I, Tommy Smith, Dave's wife, Michelle, was down there doing, she was doing pictures and everything. We were courtside doing the Shamrock girls down there who end up losing. But it's a once in a lifetime trip, and everybody had a blast down there. And they treated us like gold. After the end of every quarter, they had a girl running up and down behind us, throwing papers at us with all the stats. I mean, it was amazing. It was a good time. The best part about it, Joey, is that our school, Salmon River, everybody was shut down that day. They still had their periods. Nobody was conducting class, but when they left that classroom and they went to the next classroom, the game was on. Our broadcast was on in every room in that school that year. So it was a fantastic, and I just can't imagine even a smaller school like St. Lawrence Central, how they missed out on that. It's a real shame. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like I said, we had already planned. We kind of figured the girls had a really good chance of beating NAC. Now, they had to come back from 12 down in the fourth quarter to do it. But they had already beaten them twice. Chad scrimmaged them and played them home and away during the season. They had played each other 3 times, and Chad had won, and our girls had won 2 of them. So we knew we had a really good chance. So I had already talked to Chad about making the plans. Hey, we're going to go spend the night. You guys can go have a good time, and whatever happens against Cambridge, whatever happens. But it's unfortunate they didn't even get that opportunity. Because those opportunities, they don't happen all the time.
We're going to try to make this a
So
weekly.
as we move.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was just going to say, because we're getting close to wrapping up. I guess if anybody, anybody's watching, anybody has some ideas for what you'd like to see the 3 of us lovely guys do, talk about, or see if we can get somebody on to join us at some point. Let us know. Drop Pete a line, or Dave a line, or myself a line, and because the 3 of us like to talk, and I don't mind doing this.
That's an understatement.
It's not like we got anything else to do.
No, I'd like to try
If we're going to talk,
go ahead, David.
we're going to talk, it might as well be sports.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. This is a little different from the days when we started, though, Joey, when we were in the bars.
With the tape recorder.
Yeah. Hey,
I'll tell you what, though, Pete, we had a blast.
we had a blast. We
had so much fun.
We interviewed a lot of people.
Hey, Dave, we went and interviewed Bilo at the Franklin County Fair. That was one that I.
Yep,
Oh my gosh.
We were in a food booth. Yep.
Yeah. People are walking by looking at us like, what the hell are these guys doing? And I think it was more because Pete and I were just talking to Nate Bilo. It had nothing to do with that. We had headsets on.
I'll be honest with you. You and I didn't do a lot of talking after we introduced them.
No. He
Nate-
pretty
Nate's
much ran
not
the
shy.
show.
Nate is not shy.
No,
Yeah,
not
no,
at all.
he isn't. Man, I miss him. I haven't talked to him at all throughout this whole ordeal. That reminds me. I'll send him a text, see how he's doing.
Maybe he can join us one night.
Yeah, absolutely.
We probably
But
wouldn't
the
get
three
a
of us
word
won't be
edgewise
talking.
over.
And you might need the beeper.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know,
I'll just
we
mute
probably
him.
Okay.
Just mute him from here. Yeah. All right, that's going to wind it down for tonight, folks. For Dave Bartlett, Pete or Joey Reelman, and Pete Goslaw, this is ESS Wise Guy Sports Talk Show. See you next week, folks.
Stay safe, everybody.